And we're back at the La Femme Film Festival. Red carpet interviews with such amazing talent we've been interviewing all day. And joining me right here, this is an interesting story because it's about natural disaster, but beauty where people come together. So I want to introduce here Nancy Black, who's the producer, Isaac Hernandez, who is the director, and the film is titled Better Together. Tell us about this film.
Well, 50 years ago, there was an oil spill in Santa Barbara, the Santa Barbara Blowout in 1969, and it covered our beaches with black oil for a year, millions of gallons of oil, and it was a horrific tragedy, and it united a community and changed the world because out of that tragedy came Earth Day, ultimately the Environmental Protection Agency, the National Environmental Policy Act, and more laws to protect the environment. But before that time, people didn't even say the word environment. It wasn't really something people thought about. So a big shift happened at that time. And, 5 decades later, we've been building on that in our community. We've had more tragedies, more oil spills. And then last year, we had the horrific Montecito mudslide, just a sudden mudslide that 23 people lost their lives. And the infrastructure that we set up 5 decades earlier with the first oil spill has only grown stronger. Nonprofit organizations, those groups came into force with this most recent tragedy, and people were out there digging homes out of the mud. And it's a resilience that we hope that our film will share with all communities, that when times are hard, come together. It makes a difference, and
I know. It's very intense, and it was really interesting because I said, oh, this sounds like such a sad movie, and Isaac is like, no, it's not a sad movie. Tell us why.
Because life can be too sad sometimes, and I've seen enough environmental films, and it's ultimately an environmental film. It's about people coming together for the love of their home, which is the earth. And it was very sad during the editing process. It was very sad many times. And we finally hit the sweet spot, but it's actually a happy, feel-good film. When you come out of the theater and you're like smiling and say, what can I do? And how can I cooperate with other people? And what are you doing? And how can we work together? It's a really happy film, in spite of all the disasters and oil-covered dolphins and people dying and climate change. And yeah.
Well, interesting enough, why did you decide to do this now? Not before, but actually right now, 2019?
Well, it has to do with climate change. More and more communities are facing tragedy, disaster, natural disasters like never before. And this is something that our community has a little practice with, and we hope to impart some of that so that we can all grow stronger together, because we're going to need to help each other.
It's also the 50th anniversary of the oil spill, so the idea originally was to make a story about how Earth Day was born and what happened out of the oil spill. And then in the middle of that, we had the debris flow, and I learned so much in the interviews with people. And so basically it's a community-driven story. Just as a community-driven world, the people tell the story. And so it's what people talked about, and I just weaved it together to make it entertaining and inspiring. But it was what people wanted to talk about. But originally it's because of the 50th anniversary of the oil spill.
And it's like out of this whole tragedy, something great came out of it. Now, you did tell me someone special is narrating this particular movie. Who is that?
Christopher Lloyd. Doc Brown himself gives his beautiful, just gorgeous voice, his incredible passion to this project. And we feel so lucky and grateful that he did. And you're going to love his voice.
And we have Sheena Viritella, who is a LA-based composer, and she did the original music. And also it features Better Together by Jack Johnson. And we have a lot of women producers. Like all the executive producers are women. Linda Weinman, Leslie Butani, Linda Frederick Gluck. And then we had very generous donors, Jerry and Bobby Rubin. Sorry.
They feed off each other because they're married, by the way. They've been married for quite a while. I was telling them that's some kind of record in California, I'm just saying. But back to the film, and it is an amazing story. There have been people that came and told their stories. It's been 50 years, you had said, right? And they came and contributed to this film.
people who were there on the beach cleaning up dolphins after the first time, people who learned from that experience and created nonprofit organizations. Then when we had another oil spill later, they were ready, and those animals, a lot of them survived. So it's been stories from the people who were inspired about that first act and then all that came after. So incredible. Sylvia Earle is in the film, the Queen of the Deep. She is amazing. Anybody who gets a chance to see Sylvia Earle, she's a force of nature. She's the woman who has gone the deepest in the world as an oceanographer. And who else is magnificent and needs to get a shout out?
Well, there's a lot of young people as well. And I know we talk about the people that were there for the oil spill, there are people that weren't born, and there's a lot of young, inspiring women that are fighting for the community right now. But I don't want to give away the film. Go see it.
Yes, the film is Better Together. Thank you so much for joining me on the red carpet.
Thank you.
More interviews right after this.